right here, I'd like to welcome everyone to the today's session and the preview on the Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. This session is released to point out features and aspects of the interface to get you familiar with it and maybe encourage you to give it a try. In fact, I have faculty this semester who have been trying this, and I have glowing results from their experience with it. So at this point right here, what I want to do is I want to point out some of those all-important components of the interface to get you used to. And this first one that I'm pointing out to, this is going to be beneath the slide. It says set up your camera, microphone, and even add a photo of yourself. And so that's going to be at the bottom. And this icon of what appears to be, oh, you did already. Good for you, Holly. What this appears to be is just an icon of a portrait. So by clicking on that icon, up on the right-hand side will open up options for you to be able to add a number of different important capabilities. This first one right here on the right-hand side is I've got Skylar as just a name, but it's really just me. If I click on that picture, what I guess the previous one would be the portrait. It's going to offer me an option to. It'll open up a File Explorer or a Windows Explorer, and I'll just go to the location where I happen to have a photograph of myself. Now, it can't be too big, but what will happen is that it'll give you a chance to size up the photograph to identify what part of the photograph you want. I'm sure everyone will be picking their head, and then you'll just submit that and say okay, and you should be fine. That picture will now appear on the bottom, if you can see on the slide, where it says My Settings. Now there's a picture of me, my head anyway, at the bottom, and that's what you can do to sort of add, and it gives a little bit more identity to the presenter rather than just an impersonal voice. Okay, so this next area here is where you would fool around with your audio and video settings, where you want to establish that. And if you haven't done that before, this is where you would do that here. But I know before they'd ask you to do this very same thing. So audio and video settings, when you click on this drop-down menu, you're going to get an option to set up your camera and microphone. Now I want to point out some things to this setting up the camera and microphone. It's going to have two tests. It looks a little different. Well, it looks a lot different than what you're used to with the current version of Blackboard Collaborate support. In this first one here, you're going to be doing an audio test, and initially what you see is this default. So that default is whatever the default is on your system for recording. Okay. So now if you advance that and you click on this drop-down button here, it's going to open up what some of the options that you have for. Let's see. Okay, I have two options. One of those options is the webcam, and the other option is a USB headset microphone. Now, somebody commented on the quality of the audio, and that's really because I've selected this USB headset microphone as my source. If I had selected the what is I guess considered the microphone aspect of the webcam, the quality wouldn't be nearly as good, and that's because on a webcam there's a small hole that represents the microphone. It's about 2 feet from where I'm sitting, and so it really is just not a high quality. Plus, it picks up all the ambient noise in the room. So if there's somebody drops a book or the phone rings, by the way, I should take my phone off the hook right now so that nobody calls in the middle of this. Then that'll be picked up. So I'm going to select the USB headset mic. And that's what I recommend for you as well. If you're using a microphone, don't use one of those stand-up mics. Okay, this next section right here refers to the webcam, and of course you would select the webcam if you want to be able to have people look at you want to share your video with them. Okay, once again, you would be pointing out this, you'd be dropping down, I guess clicking here to have a drop-down menu, and most likely the only video source will be that webcam that you have attached to it. So there you would select that. So once again, I want to make the distinction. You really want to have, if you have the the equipment. If you have a headset mic, a USB headset mic, you want to make sure that that is selected. So you should know the name of it. Mine happens to be Plantronics. You might have that. You might have a Logitech, but make sure that that's what you are pointing out, that you are selecting that for your audio source, and of course the webcam. Okay, and then if it's working, you would click on the yes, it's working. Okay, then you'd be ready to go. Okay, I want to point out something else here on the left, on the right-hand side, notification settings. Well, what is notification settings? I think we've all experienced the benefit of notification settings already, because what happens is every time somebody says something, somebody comes into the room, or somebody says something in the chat area, it pops up on the right-hand side. We did see boxes of everyone who actually were saying something, whether it was a hi, hello, nice to see you, you sound great, you look great, or whatever happens to be, and that's something that everyone can see. However, this really is unique to the user, and so I, as the instructor, can establish some of these settings, but that'll only impact myself. Okay, students also have the option to do that. So when someone enters or leaves the room, we see right here that I've got this checked off, visual notification. That means a box will open up on just to the left of this, and it'll tell me that somebody has come in. It'll tell me that Peter Gowen has entered the room, or if he needs to leave, it'll tell me that he's left. That's a visual notification. But I can also have an audio notification, and it's a little dong or a bing or a bell sound that reminds. Now, that might be useful, but you'll notice that I do not have this checked in, because sometimes people will be coming in a little bit later, and it's a distraction for me personally to hear a noise while I'm trying to do something. But if I can actually see, if I have a visual notification set on, I can see that somebody's come into the room later. When someone posts a chat message, once again, this is checked, and so we'll see that somebody has said something, and usually it will include the message as well, so I don't have to click into the chat area to read it. And then, of course, if I have captioning available, if I have a student who's hearing impaired, and that student has requested a chat or a caption of the event, then that person, I can actually have sort of a designation for somebody who will be conducting the captioning for that student. Okay, this last item right here, which I won't go into in great details, is if you're in a session and you're having problems, audio problems, video problems, people keep dropping off, you can click there and report that, and that gets sent to Blackboard Collaborate, and they'll try to resolve the issue. Okay, great. So let's look at some more of these icons. This next item right here is an icon, kind of hard to see, but if you look below on your own session, on your own below this slide, you'll see that there's an icon of what appears to be a microphone, and that's exactly what it is. It says click the microphone button once to turn it on, and click again to turn it off. So this is a toggle switch. And now there really needs to be sort of an agreement of the etiquette or the protocol for conducting this. For instance, if somebody clicks this on, then they can be heard if they have a microphone. However, if there's something going on in the background, like maybe somebody turns on a television set, or someone's having an argument, God forbid, that's going to be picked up, and it can be very, very distracting. So usually, when for my students, I ask them to only turn it on or click it on when they want to speak, and after they've asked their question to turn it off. Okay. Next, we have an icon of a camera, and that's the video button, and you click it once to turn it on, and you click it off to turn it off too. Now, I've got my video on, and I'm going to probably turn it off right now because it does take some bandwidth, although it's not a major issue if you've got a LAN connection like myself. But for folks who are using this, perhaps maybe from home, and they have a wired connection, a DSL connection, probably a good idea just to get started to show your video, but then after a while you can turn it off. So I'm actually going to click my camera to turn it off, so you won't see me until I turn it back on again. Okay, now when you click both of those things, the color background will change. In this case right here, it's a green. Blackboard Collaborate is updating from time to time, and sometimes it'll change one of the features or the look of the feature. So it was green, a green background when both of these are both the microphone and the camera are enabled. It may be a different color, but still you get the idea that when it's enabled, you'll be able to see a noticeable difference. All right, this next one, it looks like just a hand raised. I put my hand in front of the camera and I forgot that I turned the camera off. But this is very important. Actually, what it is in fact, it indicates a student who wants to ask a question, perhaps they're raising their hand. And the general guidelines for that is that they raise their hand to ask a question. They can then be asked, to use the microphone. Okay, now, and I really only want them to click on the microphone when they want to ask a question. However, if they don't have a microphone, they can still use the chat feature. It's just maybe that they want to point out that they've got a question and they're anxious to ask the question. They don't want too much time to go by between when they need to ask the question and need to have it answered. And sometimes faculty get so involved in their presentation, they may forget that there are students in the session. It's a little bit more easy to forget when you're in an online session. This is why it's so important to remind yourself that, especially if you've got the camera on, that you are actually in everybody's computer monitor. They can see you, and so you have to be careful about what you do and what you say on camera. But also you have to realize that this is a two-way street. They want to ask questions of you, and so you need to make sure that you are also cognizant of their own presence as well. Okay. Let's see. You also they need to be aware that they can ask or discuss via chat, text chat at any time. And of course, in this day and age, students are quite used to texting, so chatting is probably a sibling of texting. All right, so they're quite used to be able to do that to communicate. And then later on, we'll be talking about the use of whiteboard tools that are used to annotate slides, and we'll talk about that in a while. All right, this next feature is the open chat. And I think all of you have discovered the open chat. It's a great feature. Once you click on it, what will happen is on the right-hand side, you'll have a window opening up. And that'll just be there'll just be I guess a box, an empty box where you can type your message, and when you press enter, everyone can see the message that you are typing. Okay. Of course, right here, this is an example of if I, for instance, did not have my chat open, my chat box open, I could still see that Byron has added a message right here. Good morning, everyone. Okay, you can probably just see that I've just highlighted it. And it makes it really convenient for communication to take place. And in a sense, I want you to look at this as technology trying to replicate what happens in a live session, in a face-to-face session, where people may actually be exchanging pleasantries in a face-to-face environment. It may be difficult to do that in an online environment, but as you can see, there are attempts to simulate that same experience and give someone the illusion that we're all in the same place. And in fact, for all intents and purposes, digitally, we are. Okay, so there again, once again, everyone can see hello, everyone from Byron. All right. Now, the next part of this is kind of sort of magic, because it gives individuals the opportunity to change the status of students in the class. Now, I want you to also consider this. If you have a guest lecturer, if you're inviting someone to come in and speak to your class, you could use this particular feature to get them in. They don't have to get a special one-day pass or a special username or password. You can invite them and make it very easy for them to participate, even if they are teaching at another institution. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, if you look once again down below, there is what's called the open participant list. And this is the last icon that appears in our list of icons. By clicking on the open participant list here, you want to change the status of the individual. So you click there. And here I've got a screen capture of two people. One, myself, and I'm the moderator. And the moderator simply means that I have permissions to do pretty much whatever I need to do in this online session. But below that is Byron, and Byron is a student, or he's a participant, and I want to make sure that I can give him certain privileges. Okay, so if I click on right beside Byron's name, okay, with my cursor, I get these three dots. Okay, what are these three dots? Okay, well, these three dots, if I click on these three dots, what happens is I have an option to change Byron's status from simply being a participant to being a moderator, which would make him equal to me, to make him a presenter. And this is most likely what you want to do when you have students doing presentations, online presentations. So they can work with their content. They can advance the slides and the slide content, but they don't necessarily have the ability to remove someone from a session, which of course is giving them too much power. This right here is to make someone a captioner, and this is that last one I'd mentioned about removing someone from a session. And this really has to do with classroom management. In a real face-to-face settings, if someone was being disruptive, you would ask them to leave. If they didn't want to leave, then you would contact someone from security, and they would come in and remove that person. In an online session, you don't want to close down the session for everyone. So you can actually remove a person and block them from coming back to the session until you make it possible for them to return to the session. Of course, you would warn them in advance that they need to perhaps maybe modify their reactions to other students. Maybe they're being a little bit mean. All right, Chantal, you have a question. I see a hand raised, and that's great to have that. Now, I'm not sure whether you are asking the question in the chat or if you want to use the audio feature. If you have a microphone, I would invite you to click on the icon of the microphone, and we can all hear you. We should all be able to hear you. Oh, I see. What Chantal is using the chat feature. Says, is that a new feature that you can remove someone from the session? It's a good question, Chantal. Actually, I believe that was available in the previous version. I see that Holly has come back again. Okay, great. And so it's not so much that it's adding this feature, it's just putting it in a different location. And knowing where that location is very important, because sometimes things are unanticipated. Maybe you have someone who's having a bad day and they're taking it out on their fellow students. You can be kind and ask them to refrain from exchanging mean remarks or whatever, or not behaving. And if they refuse, if they continue on, then you say, well, I will remove you if you don't change that. So really, it's a valuable classroom management feature. It's just taking it here into an online environment. And I just pointed out to you the location so that everyone who needs to have access to it can have access to that. Okay, great. All right, so now say I've made everyone a moderator, and I could do that, but it might be a little disruptive right now. I will make people moderators, selected people from as we progress, just to give them that experience. But when I do that, there is a new icon that appears on the list of icons. It is a circle with 3 dots in it. Okay, what does that mean? Circle with 3 dots in it. Well, if I cursor over it, and it'll say more tools. And what are those more tools? If I click on that, it'll give me the option to start recording. And I did that at the very beginning. Thank you so much to Yvonne, who reminded me to do that. So what happens is that you can record your sessions and archive them, so the recording is available for future reference. And it may be that you want to record a session and then have students listen to it. For instance, you may want to record a session for a preparation for an upcoming final examination, a study session. So you can record that so students can actually come to the session and ask questions. And then after you're done, the session is over, you stop the recording, students can come back and refer to that session to say, okay, what questions were asked? I missed the session, or I was there, but I forgot what was said. So it's a great feature to be able to do that. Once again, this is a feature that is currently available in the current version of a Blackboard Collaborate. It's just in a different location, and I want people to know that. The second item right here is session settings, and this is really important. Now, when a session is created, you have the option to automatically have students share their audios, share their videos, or post chat messages. And those are things that you always want to have available to the students. This last one, so what you would do is that you would just click on each one of these boxes, and when you do that, they would now have a check mark in them. Now you'll notice that I didn't do that for this last item, and the reason for that is that sometimes students get a little crazy and they'll start drawing on the whiteboard, if you have you're sharing your whiteboard, or on a file. And so you want to avoid that for the most part. So I just usually leave it undone. Now, there are exceptions. For instance, if I want to have an icebreaker and I say, uh, I ask people where are they from, what part of the country they're from, or I have a world map. I'll post that world map in as an image in my PowerPoint presentation, and I'll turn on this feature and people will sort of circle a country. Or if I just have a map of the United States, first maybe I'll start with the United States and then I'll expand out to the world depending on my students and where they're from. And they'll say, I'm a local person. I'm from Chicago, or myself, I would say I'm from Los Angeles, California. Okay, so they could actually draw on that. They'd maybe draw a circle, or do something that designates where they're from. You can also think about this for maybe a class in which there is maybe a class in neurology, and there's maybe a beginning class in neurology, and there's a structure or an image of a brain, and maybe the faculty member wants to have people identify where is the speech center area, or the area where there is emotion. Then they could ask students to identify, to circle the area, maybe pick one student to do that. So you can see that there are some advantages to having this ability. Okay. All right. So now, as a moderator, you now also have a new capability. And I want you to look at this slide. If you were all the monitors, you'd be able to see in the upper right-hand corner a circle with a plus inside. Okay, you see that? If you click on that plus, or if you just cursor over it, it'll say share content. However, if you want to actually be able to share content, you would click in that area, and then you'd have options here. All right. Now, the first option is to share the blank whiteboard. And we're all familiar with the blank. Anyone who's used the current version of Blackboard Collaborate is quite familiar with the blank whiteboard. You can put images in there, and you can draw, just as I was suggesting before, maybe a map in there, or maybe an image of a brain, or whatever it happens to be. Maybe it's an art piece, and you want to put it up there and discuss the various features of that. You could use that as well. And when you do that, and I want to point out here this on the upper left-hand corner, if you can see right here, these are the list of whiteboard annotation tools. So I'm just going to increase the size of it here, and so I'm just going to go and point out some things here. This first one right here is just a selection tool. It's an arrow, but if you click on it, you can actually maybe you've written some text on here and you want to move the text or expand the size of the text. You would select that by clicking here first and then clicking on an image, an item, or whatever. This next item here, it's kind of funny because I'm actually using this item to point it out, but this is a pointer. Once again, for people who've used the current version of Blackboard Collaborate, there are a number of different pointer options. There's a hand just like this, but there's also an arrow. There's also a laser beam. I think there's a couple of other options. For whatever reason, so far there's just one option here. I'm sure they will expand that to have other images to be able to use to point things out. Okay. This next item is an image of a pencil. Once again, if I click on that pencil, I will click on that pencil myself. I can actually draw, not a very good square, but I can draw whatever I need to draw. Maybe circle something. And I'm using my mouse. I'm not very good at drawing, period. Even if I had a stylus and I was using this, I probably wouldn't do a very good job. However, if I click in this box area, I could draw a perfect square, a perfect rectangle, a perfect oval, a perfect circle to highlight certain areas. Okay. This next item right here is a T, and I'm sure we're all recognizing that as just text. So I can actually type something, and I'll type something up in just a few seconds, but I want to point out this last item, which looks like an eraser, and that's what it is. So whatever I've added here, I can erase it in an instant. So I'm going to click on text. Okay, and I'm going to type something. Hello, everyone. And I see that I'm actually typing, it's going over the NIU logo. We can't have that. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it to a different location using that selection tool that I mentioned. And now what I want to do is I want to erase everything. So I'm going to click on the eraser, and now it's all gone. All right. All right, so let's move on here to the next one. This right here, this next item is application share. Okay, application share. And what that simply means is that I can share whatever is on my desktop with my students. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, it could be that I want to share a website, another website, or it could be that I want to. I have maybe a software program, maybe something in Word or PowerPoint or Excel, and I want to show students how to do something. So I would select application share so I could share that with my students. And I'll give you an example of that in just a second. Okay. So what I would do is I would click on that, and it would give me options, and I would have to select something and that I want to share, and of course it would have to be open in the background, not minimized, and then I would click on the share button. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that very same thing. Okay. So for a second here, I'm going to share an application, and now what you guys should be seeing is a PDF file. I know it's taking a few seconds. Okay, so the thing that's really cool about this is that I can actually scroll down, and you can see as I scroll down, and I can use my cursor to highlight certain areas. Okay, which is really kind of cool. Now, if the picture seems small to you, what you're seeing right here, double click on it. Right, use a cursor to double click right on the image, and it should get bigger. Okay, it should expand. Now it's kind of big and it's a little pixelated and all that. So, and then double click on it again to return it to its original size. So I'm scrolling down, I'm scrolling down, I'm scrolling down, and so actually could walk people through the steps, whatever it happens to be. If I'm sharing maybe a document, I can point things out. If I'm sharing a website, I can conduct a web tour with my students. They can see where I'm taking them, so they don't click on a link and it takes them somewhere else. It keeps them sort of in the game. And then when I'm done, I can stop sharing. And although you guys can't see it right now at the bottom of my screen, it says desktop sharing is sharing your screen with the usbbcollab.com, and it gives me the option to stop sharing, which I'm going to do. Okay. So now I've got back to my session, and it's taken me back to where everyone's video. If we all had videos, we would be on. Okay. I'm going to go back to the presentation. Okay. And as soon as I get there to the presentation, okay. Okay. I'm going to advance a couple more slides. All right, that's the application share, which we just talked about. This next feature is something we all will use. I guarantee it. If we use PowerPoint presentations for sharing information with our students, this is the one you want. This is the share files. Okay, and so you would select that one. You click on that one, and then you see this this share files. Add files here. Okay. So I'm highlighting this particular area. So you would click on it. It says drag images or PowerPoint or PDF files here, or click to add. So you would click on that, and it would open up a Windows Explorer. So you'd go to the location of that file. You would click on that file, and you would click open, and then you would see this. You would see whatever the file that you're doing, it says it's opening it up. And so you'd see that it's going, at this point, this is a screen capture. I screen captured this at 23%, but it should take, depending on the size of the file, it should take just a few seconds before it opens up. It'll say 100%. And then it'll have these dashed lines that continue to spin for just a few seconds. And then you will end up with your presentation. Now, if you look right here, I've got actually two presentations. Once again, this is a screen capture. And one of these items is a PDF file, okay? And the other item is a PowerPoint presentation. And you'll see that I've got a large number of slides in this presentation. It says 65 slides, and that's the reason for that is because I don't really have transitions in my slide presentation here, so I've got to have multiple slides that really would only take one slide up to demonstrate. So whenever I have a slide and I want to point something else, I'll have the original slide with nothing on it, then I'll advance to the next slide with the same slide, but it'll have maybe a circle or a square, a red circle that identifies that. That's the only reason there's so many slides. And then I would click on Share Now. I would click on the Share Now below. And when I do that, up pops all of the slides. You can see all of the slides here. And say that I want to start with the first slide. And typically we want to do that. We want to slide with the, and we'll start with the initial slides. And so, you know, I would click here. And when I click here, it would open up the slides. Okay, and it would begin. Now I also have the option of scrolling down, maybe select another slide. Maybe slide 20 is where I want to start, and it would start from that slide, and you know, it would begin at slide 20 instead of slide 1. Okay, great. All right, so let me see here what I want to do. Whenever you're done with sharing, whether that's application share, whether that's sharing files, whether that's a PowerPoint file or a PDF, you're going to see here in this corner, upper right hand corner, stop sharing. So it gives you the option to stop what you're doing. Okay, by clicking on that, you will return to probably just it's the area where we share our videos, if we're all videos. If not, it will come up with a slide that actually has a photograph. If we've shared our photograph in a series of boxes, so that if all of my students shared their video, added their video to this thing, I would see everybody who was in the session in one glance. Okay, great. All right, so okay, now at this point, I'm gonna take more questions. If not, if depending on how many questions are being asked, I'm going to experiment. I'm gonna give certain folks certain privileges. Okay, to become a moderator here, and what they see, and I've shown you this in the form of screen captures, but what they will see is they'll have more capability, more access to features that they can choose to use. All right, so any questions? Oh, Chital, great. All right, Chital, ask away. I think she must be typing in the question in the chat area. So everyone actually doesn't have to be in the chat. You don't have to click the chat bubble. Okay. All right. So Chital asked, I'm curious to know what are the main differences from the previous Blackboard beside the location of icons? Okay, well, for me, the main feature, the one that sold for me the first time I heard it, is that you no longer have to use Java. Okay, now Java is that plugin that really makes this communication, the use of this Blackboard Collaborate tool possible. There was a lot of issues before with people not having the appropriate version of Java, and so folks would try to get into their session and not be able to. Blackboard tried to address this by coming up with a Java launcher that had a pre-approved version of Java. The problem with that is that it looked different when you downloaded and installed it, depending on the browser, depending on the operating system, Windows and Mac. And people were having just as many problems with that as they were with Java. This is completely free of Java. You don't need to have that plugin. It's entirely browser-based. Okay. Another feature, of course, is the improvement in the video and sound quality. There's a dramatic improvement. Also, the design itself makes it a little bit more elegant to be able to conduct sessions. All right. There are probably some more features that I'm glossing over. I'll tell you some of the features that currently are not available, but will be available shortly, are the breakout rooms. Which of course, I use breakout rooms whenever I have groups and I want them to meet with each other within a session. that replicates the experience of people in a face-to-face setting going into different parts of the classroom and meeting with each other and talking. The other option is polling, and I'm a big polling person. So that feature not being available for me was kind of kind of a drag, and actually had the opportunity at a conference, a Slate conference a few weeks ago, to talk to the vice president of Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, and I said this is something that really we all value, all faculty value this, and we really appreciate if you could expedite it. And he said that he would do that. Okay, great. The other feature, which I was about to say is not in there, but I think it is in there, is in the upper left-hand corner that appears to be a phone. Telephony is one of those great features for individuals who may not have a microphone to be able to speak to students. Let me see what happens when I click on that. My bad. I see I just kicked myself out. So that's what that's all about. It looked like it was telephony, but it's not. Can everyone still hear me? Can I get a yes? An amen? Okay, okay. I got it. I got it. All right. This is the beauty of live session, or what they used to say in the old days, live television. All right. So we know that you don't want to click on that because it kicks you out of the session. Okay. Interesting discovery. Let me go back to the questions. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, but I erased. I seem to have, by leaving the session, I seem to have erased those other things. I saw other people had asked questions in addition to Chantal. So if I could ask those people to ask the same questions, I apologize for the disruption. Okay, so I'll wait for those chat messages to come on again. Okay, so Chantal asked, so does that mean we can use the Ultra instead of Adobe Connect? Absolutely. This is thank you so much, Beverly. This is an alternative to Adobe Connect. The thing about this is that, right, although Adobe Connect was recently disabled within Blackboard, as of a few days ago, it was re-enabled, and so people can use that. However, folks who want to use the new Ultra, Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, I would invite them to contact me. I will create a session for you, because right now this version is not integrated with Blackboard. It has to do with the version of Blackboard that we're using right now. We're using, I believe, the April 2014 version. We were going to upgrade to the October 2014 version. This is last year, of course. However, and that would have enabled us to be able to use this. It's my understanding that at the end of the semester, beginning of next semester, we will be upgrading to the October 2015 version, which of course would make it entirely possible to use this in anyone's classes. However, I've had people who are interested in using this session or this version in the fall semester, and I've created a workshop, or I've created sessions for individuals to be able to do that. So if you have an interest and you want to do it before the end of the semester, just contact me. I'll create a session for you. It will generate a link that is a moderator link for you, and to be able to use it immediately. And also, I will send you the participant list, and that list, participant not list, but a link. So you send that, make that available to your students, and you can post that as a link in your course. That's what you want to share. You don't ever want to share your moderator link. Okay, that would be a poor choice. Anyway, but I'm happy to do that. And like I said, I've had about 19 or 20 faculty I've created sessions for this semester, and they're reporting very positive experiences with that. Beverly, how can guests from outside NU be invited into a session? Great. That's a great question. As I mentioned, you can generate I will be able to create a participant link for you. You send that link to the person. Okay, it doesn't mean that they have to log in with a USB headset. I mean, they don't have to log in with a NIU account. It's just it's a browser, and since this is all browser based. And once they're in the session, you would change their status to moderator or presenter status, which makes it effortless and seamless to them. All they have to do is click on the link. Hopefully, if they're going to be presenting as a guest lecturer, they will have a headset mic. I know that there are also some laptops that have built-in webcams and mics, and so they can just use that, and that would be nice enough to be able to share. So it's very, very easy to do that, and anyone who wants assistance with this, I'm more than happy to walk you through that. And although today was just a introduction to some of the features, I actually will be able to provide you a training. Just give me a call and we can set something up. You don't even have to leave the comfort of your office. We can do it. You can stay at your office. I can stay at my office, and we'll do it in this session just like we did today. Okay. Shital, because that also has polling and breakout. Yes, the current version has that, but as I mentioned, this version, this new version, does not have it at this time. It will be coming in a few weeks, though. Any other questions? Okay, you're welcome. All right, so now we're going to have an opportunity to try out this new feature where people are now can become a moderator. So I'm going to ask people who want to try this to do something, and the first two people to do this will have this experience. And so anyone who wishes to be a moderator temporarily, I want them to click on the hand raise. And the first two who do that will be given that opportunity. Julie, okay. All right, Julie, I'm going to go and I'm going to make you a moderator temporarily. If I see one more person do it, I can do that. Let's see. Any more? Okay. Oh, okay. So Holly and Julie. All right, first Julie. That's it. So now I'm going to go into the participant list right here. I'm going to go to Julie's name. Okay. I'm going to click on the same three dots, and I'm going to click on Make Moderator. Okay. And so now, Julie, you should see, let's just see. You should see now those three dots that I pointed out before. Okay. So, Julie, I'm going to ask you to do something. Okay. If you happen to have a PowerPoint presentation that you want to put up here, I want you to, I'm going to go backwards a little bit. I'll walk you through the steps once again, so I'll make it easier for you to do this. Okay, so we're going to go. What I want you to do is I want you to click on those the dots. Let me just go back again. Oh, I want you to go to the bottom. Oh, actually no. In this case right here, I want you to go to the upper right hand corner, and where it has a circle with a plus sign inside of it. You can see that right now on the slide. I want you to click on that. And when you click on that, you're going to have three options. All right. Now we could do the share application, but it's a little, it's not fair to ask someone who hasn't had experience with it before to do that. So instead, I'm going to ask you to click on the share files. Okay. So click on the share files. Let me just jump to that section, share files, and then click on the add files here if you want to share something. Okay. Add files here, and then I want you. When you click on that, it's going to open up a Windows Explorer. If you click on the Windows Explorer, I want you to go to a place where there's a PowerPoint slide that you may want to share, or a PDF that you want to share. All right. So just find that, and once you find that, click on it, and I think there's a Open or something button that you click on, and it's going to give that same what we're seeing right now. It'll have a circle and it'll say, 1%, 2%, 3%, 23%, 100% at some point. Once it stops, okay. Once it stops, you're going to see that whatever the file happens to be open up below.
Dan, this is Julie. Can you hear me?
I can, Julie.
Hey, wonderful. Well, let me just tell you, my wireless is really slow running here at my work. I've uploaded a file, but it still says 0%.
Oh,
so
okay. Well,
I think it's just going to be pretty slow.
Okay, well, that's fine. Actually, Julie, you brought up a very important point I might have missed. Thank you so much. All right, so if you are the presenter, what you want to try to avoid is using wireless connection. And this is the case whether you're using the current version of Blackboard Collaborate or this version. Um, the optimal experience is to use a wired connection, and that can be a LAN connection here on campus. Or if you happen to be at home, I would suggest if you have a DSL connection, use that, ISDN connection. And for the most part, not use wireless because you don't know. Now, for me at home, I actually have the 75 megabits per second wireless speed, which makes it really easy for me to be able to share my content. And I've got some special equipment that enhances that to almost 90 megabits per second. So I don't really have an issue at home because of that. But for folks who are presenting, my recommendation is to use a wired connection. Now, the second recommendation, which is what I had made before we even started, was to use the Google Chrome browser if you possibly can, or Mozilla Firefox. Those are the two that are both supported. You can probably use Internet Explorer as well and Safari, but they'll probably say something like, "Well, we strongly recommend that you use one of these other two browsers." Okay, Julie,
Yeah.
how's it going? Is it still
Still
0%?
set, yeah, it's still 0. I actually
Okay.
tried to delete it's a small file. It's not a large one.
Okay.
I tried to. There's a little circle with
Trash
an
can?
X to delete, and it
Uh-huh.
doesn't even seem to be deleting.
Okay. Well,
So
this is a very instructive experience. If in fact
yeah.
you figure this out, then uh, with it actually happening in real time, then you know that if you're going to be using this, find that wired connection, and you should be fine. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, Julie. I don't mean to kick you off, but I'm going to ask Holly
Go
to
right
come on
ahead.
like this. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your understanding. All right. So now, Julie, I'm going to change you back to participant. Okay. And now, Holly, I'm going to do that same thing for you. Hopefully, you have a wired connection, but if not, we'll see if it works. If you have a wireless, I'm making you a moderator. Okay.
Okay.
So now, Holly, you're a moderator, and
All
so the
right.
same thing. What I want you to do is I'll just go back in the slides here, is that you want to make sure that you click on that circle with the plus sign, and then it's going to offer you some options. One of which is to share your file. All right. Yes, Holly, you have a question.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to click on that. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
trying.
fine.
Oh, okay,
But
now I got.
you know how easy it is to communicate. I mean, instantly, even if it's accidental like this, it comes up like this, and it could be that maybe in class your students started to raise their hand and they put it down, and you happen to catch them, and you can say, "Oh,
Mhm.
do you really have a question to ask?" So anyway, this is what I mean when I say the technology erases the distance. We are, for all intents and purposes, in the same location. Okay. So if you want to click on share, if you have a file to share, Holly, then you would click on share files, and you would say, add file here. You'd click there, and then you just open up the Windows Explorer, go to the location of that file. Okay. And click on that, and I guess it'll either say open or it'll say submit or something, and then you'll get this circle that's giving the percentages, and hopefully it'll be giving you 2%, 3%, 23%, 100%. So what's happening right now, Holly? Okay. All right. So Holly, we can't hear you right now. It may be that you need to click on your microphone icon again. Oh, look at that. Holly, we can see dialectical behavior therapy. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Now I'm going to do something which is really kind of cool. I'm actually going to give another student a presenter privilege, and I'm going to ask them to advance the slides. And when you look at the slide, you may not be able to see it. In fact, I know you can't see it right now, but
Oh, okay, now I am.
okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Autumn. Autumn, I'm going to give you. I'm going to make you a presenter. Okay. And I want you should be able to see right above the slides, there's a name of this presentation. It says dialectical behavior therapy. Oh, look at that. Oh, my gosh.
I stopped sharing.
Okay.
Was I not supposed to?
That's fine. Yeah. Hold on.
I can share it again. Oh.
It's fine. It's fine. What I'm going to do is, because it's in the list right here, I'm going to put it back up again. And now I'm going to ask, let's see. I'm going to ask Autumn to advance the slide. Okay, Yvonne, take care. Autumn, can you hear me? Oh, look at that. Advancing the slides. Yes. All right. So now you can see this, how easy it is to get your students to, to be able to present in a place where everyone can share the experience, be able to talk with each other, whether that's verbally or written. It's for me, it's kind of a win-win situation. All right, great. Questions from Holly, questions from Autumn, or questions from anyone? Oh, Holly, are you asking a question? I see your hand is raised, or maybe I didn't. No questions. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Anyone else? Okay, well, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to do. What I'm going to do now, Holly, is to return you to your participant status, and also we'll see you, Autumn, as well. Okay, so you can see it really is. It doesn't take really much to be able to make that distinction. Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, I want to thank everyone for participating. What I'll do is I will follow this up. It says Julie asked, will you be able to, let me just go back to, will you be able to show me how to actually set up and invite students to join a collaboration? Yes, I absolutely will. Just give me a call. My number is 753-0613, and we'll set up a time, and I will absolutely walk you through the steps. Okay, I will follow this up. I will send you the PowerPoint slide presentation. And remember, it's a lot of slides. It's only because we don't have a transition capability in this particular with this particular technology right now. You're welcome, Isabel. And then also a link for an evaluation for this particular workshop. I'd appreciate it if you'd spend a few minutes just doing that as well. All right. All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording right now. And if anyone wants to stick around and ask more questions, fine. I'll be here until 1 o'clock. Thank you so much, Isabel. I appreciate that. Yes, Isabel, I will be sending it through a link. You too, Isabel. Okay, so Holly, if you want to leave, in the upper right-hand corner there is what appears to be a telephone, a little icon of a telephone. If you okay, yes, the phone. You click on that, it's going to ask you, oops, take me back, and just let's see, just hit enter. Let's see. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, yes. Well, this is the first time I've seen this as well. It says, how was the audio and video? If you look below, there's some sort of a oops. You have the option to oops, take me back. But right here, it's asking for an assessment. That's kind of unfair. You can actually click skip, and then just you've left the session. Okay. Did you get that, Holly? You have the option of providing a an assessment. Oh, okay. All right. So actually, what you want to do is go to the tab. Oh, okay. So in that case, you don't really need the assessment. That's actually Blackboard's collaborative session. Yeah, just X out of the tab. Exactly. Okay, great.